After gaining insight on the true nature of his father's death, Dowan has decided to follow whatever leads he can find. He will get justice for his father. In the meanwhile, though, he has a whole other challenge to face: midterms. After accepting the mission to protect Ji-han, Dowan heads to the guy's house with him. Tri-mansion, actually. Holy crap, this guy's rich. Dowan's stunned by the sheer size and quality of the house. Beyond that, he even mistakes Ji-han's maid for his mom. Yikes, that's kinda embarrassing. As the two study together, Dowan can't help but notice how this seems to be the first time hanging out with a friend for both of them. As the days pass, the two continue studying together after school and enjoying their time together. Every day, Dowan sees more and more things that hammer in just how different of a class the two are in. Ji-han got a whole freaking gaming room as a birthday gift, damn it. Unlike most people, though, he doesn't let this make him jealous. Everyone's got what they've got. It's just how it is. Besides, Ji-han's a cool guy. Apart from that, Dowan's also beginning to think the quest he's currently got is pretty simple. There hasn't been any trouble at all, and at this point, there probably won't be any either. Why? Why would you jinx it like that? Watch some insane crap happen now. One day, on their way back home from school, the two were talking about private tutoring when Dowan discovers something. Ji-han apparently used to have 20 tutors. Are there even enough subjects for that? Ji-han just says they weren't just for studies. He learned a little bit of everything. Yeah, that doesn't sound suspicious at all. As they step out of school grounds, they're suddenly met by stereotypical high school villain A. No, really. He could not look more cliche if he tried. Lame tattoos, earrings, slicked hair, smug look, the works. Of course, Mr. Villain does have a name. Lee Gu-min, a former classmate of Ji-han's from middle school. He tries to get a rise out of Ji-han by claiming that he ran away here to Wanaku, so he's here to reunite with him. Ji-han actually stands his ground, though. With Dowan at his side, he tells Lee to stay away and turns to walk home. Later, when they're close to Ji-han's home, he tells Dowan that he doesn't feel up to studying together today. Being understanding, Dowan tells him it's alright and heads to his own home. Despite knowing that he can't really do anything now that Ji-han's home, Dowan keeps feeling a nagging worry about his friend. After all, the quest clearly says he has to protect Ji-han, and the guy from earlier seemed pretty shady. What if Ji-han's actually in trouble even now? Turning back, Dowan rushes to Ji-han's house to see if he's okay. Double besto friendo. Tobito would be proud. Once Dowan reaches Ji-han's home, a quick talk with his maid reveals the boy isn't actually home. Apparently, he's gone out with his middle school friends. Hearing this, Dowan is a bit disappointed to think that's why Ji-han blew off their studying. He understands, though. As long as Ji-han is safe, it should be fine. Huh. Seiyu Ji-han. Could have sworn that said protect before. Oh crap. Dowan is quick to realize that Ji-han isn't with any friends. He's been taken by force. With no leads on where they could be, Dowan rushes into the city to try and find his friend. Meanwhile, Ji-han is in a secret hideout with Gu-min and a large group of his lackeys. Here, a lot of them indulge in their shallow entertainment of booze and games, I guess. I dunno. They don't do much except drink, smoke, and be bullies. All the while, Gu-min forces Ji-han to relive his weakest moments from back in middle school. Back when Gu-min would force him to come here and then beat him up when he refused to drink. And to top it all off, he threatens to tell his hospitalized mother about his treatment if Ji-han tries to report them. The poor woman would probably go into shock from sadness. Holy pancakes on a chicken stick. This guy's heartless. While bullying Ji-han, Gu-min hands a credit card over to two of his lackeys so they can go get more booze and cigarettes. Yep, pretty much all they do. Over with Dowan, he searched every hangout area, every arcade and every restaurant in the district to find Ji-han. With no luck on that front, he calls Ji-han's phone. Wait, why wasn't that the first thing he did? Much to his concern, the person who answers the phone is Lee Gu-min. At Dowan's demands, the bully sends him their location and tells Dowan to come get his friend himself if he really cares about him. Some time passes and Gu-min's group are growing restless over their lack of alcohol. Geez, just hang on, you addicts. Right as they're wondering where the guys they sent to get more are, something unexpected happens. They return unconscious and flying, like through the door. Dowan's ready to crush some skulls. Now, before we get into the action, let's go ahead and have a flashback. What do you mean you're not interested? Oh, alright, fine, I'll make it short. Basically, Gu-min and Ji-han were pretty good friends when they started middle school. They were both rich, both had sick moms, and both didn't have many friends. Unfortunately, Gu-min's mom died, and his jealousy over Ji-han's still being alive drove them apart. Yikes, that's sad, but also kind of stupid. Sorry, Gumin, is what it is. Back to the present. After walking into the hideout, Dowan proceeds to curb stomp the majority of Gumin's lackeys. With a quick blind spot strike to each of their chins, he knocks them all out cold. One's left though, a particularly big guy. Look, I'm just gonna say it, he's fat as hell. Thanks to that, the chin hit doesn't really affect him as much. Dowan decides to try a truly innovative tactic. He hits him harder. Hey, if it works, it works. With a 5-hit combo of blind spot strikes, he knocks both the fatso and his teeth out. 2 more senior students decide to act smug and step in following this. They get humiliated off screen, but whooping was too intense to show. With all the delinquents beaten, Dowan goes to Jihan's side and helps him up. Seeing this, Gumin decides to pull out his final trump card, a hired delinquent, someone way stronger than all his other lackeys. This person will fight Dowan and defeat him, right? New guy tries to surprise attack Dowan, but he counters easily enough, impressing the man. He is Kim Gang-jae, the top fighter of the Gumin family. From his aura alone, Dowan can tell this fight will be far more intense than the one so far. As the fight between Dowan and Gang-jae progresses, Dowan quickly realizes his normal attacks aren't doing nearly enough damage to matter. Even his blind spot strikes are shrugged off easily by Gang. Meanwhile, Dowan himself is accumulating more and more damage, with each punch from Gang. He decides to pull out some of his stronger moves, but right at that moment, Gang grabs his wrist. As Gang starts boasting about stopping his secret attack, Dowan makes a move any gymnast would probably be proud of. With a sudden front flip on the spot, he kicks down on Gang's head with a falcon drop. Somehow, he misses though. Damn man, even at that range, that's just sad. It does shred Gang's shoulder quite brutally though, so it's not a total waste. Gumin starts calling out to Gang in disappointment, and asks if he'll be beaten like all the others. Enraged, Gang tells him he's just not fully awake yet. He's huffing so much copium, man. Dowan can see that too. As Gang is rushing at him, sloppier than before, Dowan hits him with a stun smash to the side of the head straight into a pillar. Ouch. Gang just barely manages to stand back up through the pain of his injuries. As he stands, unsteady and weakened, Dowan prepares to end this. Stepping forward, he activates multi-strike destruction and gets stopped. Damn it, Gumin's being a sore loser. He's grabbed one of the sharp-pointed darts from nearby and is holding Jihan in a chokehold. If Dowan fights back anymore, his friend is dead. Man, can't these villains ever do something original? Gang begins beating the crap out of Dowan, who silently takes it all. Can't risk doing anything that will result in Jihan getting hurt, or worse. After all, over with Gumin and Jihan. The bully threatens Jihan to just sit still and let things play out. After all, if he does anything stupid, he'll make sure his mom sees all the photos and videos of him being bullied. Surely her heart wouldn't be able to take that kind of stress and pain. When Gang grabs Dowan in a choke and starts squeezing the life out of him, Jihan thinks back on the past. On the way, Gumin went down the wrong path after his mother died. Maybe some of the blame is with Jihan for not trying to pull him on the right path hard enough. But right now, he refuses to be Gumin's punching bag anymore. With a sudden change in attitude, he grabs Gumin by the arm, flips his whole body over his shoulder, and slams him into the ground. He could have done it this whole time, with Gumin stunned and defenseless. Jihan grabs the dart and holds it to his neck. Turning to Dowan, he tells him he can finish this now. A blue glow surrounds his fist, and Dowan meets eyes with Gang. Without a single wasted movement, he fires forth a multi-strike destruction. Flashback time again. Back when Gumin's mom had just passed away, he often saw Jihan being happy with his friends. How dare he? Doesn't he know he should suffer like Gumin did? Why? Because bad guys got a bad guy, I guess. Also a lot of jealousy. Back to the present. After seeing every single one of his men beaten like children by a single guy, Gumin turns to the only ones in his group who are still conscious. The 2 girls they hang out with, he demands that they fight for him, grabbing them by the hair to keep them in place. Dude, didn't your best fighter just get taken down? What are they gonna do? When Dowan comes close to him, he lets them go and turns to him. Gumin starts making ridiculous offers to the man. If he switches sides right now, he'll pay him triple the amount Jihan is paying. Man, he really doesn't get how friends work, does he? When that attempt fails, he tries to blackmail Jihan through his mother again. This prompts Jihan to have, you guessed it, another flashback. Back when their friendship had just ended, Jihan had tried to talk some sense into Gumin. He got all offended and talked smack about his mom. So Jihan beat the crap out of him in anger. Long story short, when his mom found out Jihan was in trouble, she collapsed since she was already in critical condition. Ever since then, Gumin has recorded himself bullying Jihan and threatens to show his mother. That'll surely worsen her condition even more. Back to the present. Unfortunately for Gumin, Dowan ain't having none of that. He grabs away his phone, deletes the videos, turns to Gumin, and tells him he'll destroy him if he does anything against Jihan. After all, he's on his side now. Turning to Jihan, Gumin once again displays his third-class cliché villain personality by trying to sneak attack him. Bad idea. Jihan kicks the snot out of his face and knocks him out. Victory. Later, Jihan tells Dowan about how the trauma from what happened to his mother has prevented him from fighting back against bullies ever since. Now though, having him there gave him the courage to finally stand up for himself again. He even plans to slowly tell her the truth about everything that's happened with him. So Gumin never has power over him again. Like his mother once told him, if he's got a friend he can rely on, and who can rely on him, he can get through anything. After he thanks Dowan for being there, they part ways and head home. Over in the park where he trained, Dowan receives the reward for his quest to protect Jihan. A hidden item. This item, it must be incredibly powerful from the aura coming off it. It's a lock. Yeah, just a black lock. Dowan mentions its ability is really broken, but he doesn't say what it actually is. Damn it, Dowan. Later, midterm exams are finally over and Dowan just barely made it through thanks to Jihan's help. As they discuss the school trip next week, Jihan admits he's just going to be spending his time at the hospital with his mom till then. Dowan admits he has something to do as well. As per his talk with Sun, Dowan heads to the site of Sunlight Shelter to look for any clues that might be left over there. Unfortunately, forget clues, the whole building's gone. Yeah, it's been 3 years, man. What did you expect? From an old man in the area, he learns the whole building was remodeled not long after the shelter shut down. Though there's nothing left of it, he does have one thing that was found in Dowan's father's office before they demolished it. A case with a pair of shattered glasses inside. Okay, that's weird. Meanwhile, good old Gumin is up to his usual shenanigans, paying people to do stuff that makes him happy. Yo, that sounds really sus now that I think about it. Anywho, he's meeting up with the Bully Council's mercantile agency and hiring them to eliminate both Jihan and Dowan. Geez, he's really going as far as hiring hitmen. Talk about salty. The following week, the school trip is finally here. As Dowan stands in the school grounds where all the buses will leave from, he wonders if it would have been better to just stay home and game. Just then, he bumps into Auron. Never mind, totally worth it, is what the poor Sim's brain instantly says. Can't blame him to be fair though. Right then, Jihan shows up as well, reminding Dowan that he actually has a friend to hang out with this time. Maybe this won't be so bad after all. After a long journey, the students finally arrive at the location of their trip, Jiayangju. Here, they quickly head to their first super fun activity, a ceramics class. Well, it's something I guess. Here, Dowan is told off by the ceramics master, who starts praising Jihan in the same breath. His sculpture is vastly superior to anyone else's, let alone Dowan's pathetic attempt. Is there anything the kid can't do? After that, they head to lunch, which is also in the ceramic workshop. Apparently, the master is a pretty good pizza chef. Later, the group go for a museum visit, which is so boring it happens off-screen. After getting out of there, Dowan sees Auron and her friend in the distance. He's totally smitten with the girl at this point. Lastly, the group are given a few hours to just go out and do whatever they want. Okay, now that sounds more like a fun trip. Nice. Dowan and Jihan head out together to explore the area and find some fun stuff to do. Unknown to them, a pair of vicious-looking individuals are silently observing them from a distance. Eventually, the pair reach an ATV rental spot. Here, they see none other than Auron and her friend, riding on one of the four-wheeled bikes. Thanks to the rental guy, the four end up in pairs with one ATV each. Dowan ends up with Auron riding behind him while her friend shares an ATV with Jihan. Absolute W of a wingman. God bless you, rental dude. As they ride together on the ATV, Dowan slowly but surely loses his mind from the close contact with Auron. I mean, that's the only explanation for the absolutely horrifying piece of cringe he drops as a pickup line. During the ride, they go past a food truck announcing their items on a loudspeaker. Auron mentions that she gets really sick around loudspeakers, so they rush back to the rental stand. There, they talk about the recreation event that's scheduled for tomorrow night. Will she be okay at that with all the loudspeakers? Arin tells him she'll just sneak out and wander around Cheomsamdae, an observatory. At that moment, their friends arrive back at the stand as well. One small thing that needs to be addressed, though. Jihan's holding Arin's friend in a princess carry. Is there anything this kid cannot do? Reality quest? More like Rizardy Kwa. Okay, I'll stop. That one was just bad. On their way back to the hotel, Jihan tells Dowan about how they were in a mini accident. So if he was carrying Choi Min-hai because her legs gave out. A likely story. Exhausted from the day's events, the two boys head into their shared room and turn in for the night. The next day, the trip continues with more boring scheduled events. A historical location visit, a temple visit, a village visit, a museum visit again. It all ends up being worth it though, because that night in the auditorium, a show is being put on for the recreation by Shin and high school very own dance club. And not only are the ladies going to be putting on a great show, a few lucky individuals get to watch from seats up on the stage itself. But those are their own boyfriends. Kinda unfair. Wait, where's Jihan? That guy on stage looks kinda like Hyde. Holy crap, that's him. Choi brought him up as her boyfriend, since she's one of the dancers. How in the hell did he move so fast, man? Bored and slightly jealous, Dowan remembers what Arin said about sneaking out during the recreation. Deciding to go see what she's up to, he sneaks out as well. On his way to the place where she said she'd be, Dowan suddenly gets a system pop up in a huge open field. Event Dungeon, King's Tomb, has been started. Just as he's wondering where enemies would come from in a place like this, a guy comes running at him from behind. Though he blocks the punch, another guy appears behind him and gets a hit in. These are the old brothers, Haebusiup and Taesiup, members of the mercantile agency hired by Gumin. As the three face off, Dowan just stands there, menacingly. When the younger brother comes at him from behind, he's forced to catch a back fist from Dowan with his face. While the younger brother eats dirt down on the ground, Dowan wonders why this dungeon has such a fancy name. Questions for another time, I suppose. Turning to the older brother, he asks if they're twins based on what they keep calling each other. Suddenly, Dowan rushes forward and launches a strong punch at the older brother's face. Surprisingly, he actually catches it with a single hand. Though that's unexpected. It's far from worrying. Dowan simply activates a stronger attack, multi-hit destruction. Not. The younger brother managed to get back up somehow, and he kicked Dowan's arm out of position before he could fire his attack. When he tries to hit him with another blind spot strike, Dowan finds himself taking a hit from behind by the older brother. While the brothers regroup, Dowan takes a defensive stance and prepares to take this battle more seriously. Younger brother comes running at him, only to take a triple blind spot strike to the face. While that happens though, older brother clubs Dowan in the back of the head. As the fight continues, he realizes just how different these guys are from all his previous enemies. Unlike them, they aren't actually that strong. The problem isn't how coordinated they are. The two move almost as one, constantly covering each other's openings and taking advantage of ones created by either of them. It's a pretty basic tactic, but it's highly effective against a single opponent. Dowan is simply unable to get in any hits of his own. With his observations made, Dowan decides that the winner of this battle will come down to whoever lands the strongest hit. With this in mind, he rushes at them with a plan. Right as he's about to attack the younger brother, he turns around to hit the older brother who will attack from behind. The older brother predicted this though and hits Dowan with a leg sweep. But you see, Dowan predicted his prediction and uses this movement to drop from above with a falcon drop. But you see again, the younger brother predicted that Dowan would predict the older brother's prediction. While he's in the air, he grabs Dowan's hoodie and lands a punch straight to his face. With this, the two finally manage to capture Dowan in a hold. With an arm in each of their grasps, they prepare to break Dowan's limbs. What they don't predict, however, is just how monstrously strong he is. With all his strength, he grabs the two from within his trap position and slams their heads into each other with a stun smash. As the brothers lay beaten, Dowan stands over them and assumes it's over. Weirdly enough, there's a motorcycle standing on the nearby hill all of a sudden, with no rider on it. Seeing this, the two brothers start rising as well and speak to a newcomer on the scene. The oldest brother, the leader of the triplets, Okwang Siap, has arrived. Back at the recreation, Jihan is losing his marbles over how close Choi keeps getting as part of her dance routine. Truly, such a horrible situation to be in. That's sarcasm in case anyone missed it. Meanwhile, out in the dungeon, The three brothers are bantering between each other, while Dowan observes them. Eventually, he asks the newcomer why they all look the same. Just as he's answering that they're triplets, Dowan winds up and lets loose a jab right in his face. Well, guess it's on then. As the three are about to pounce on him as one, Dowan makes a quick decision and executes the first step of his plan. Running away no jutsu. The brothers separate into three different directions to try and cut Dowan off before he can escape. What they don't realize is that this was his plan in the first place. Now, with only the middle brother in front of him, punches the breath right out of his lungs. When the younger brother rushes in and tries to attack from behind, Dowan has time to counter. On the spot, he bends forward and shoots his leg up in a backward split kick, with the power of blind spot strike infused in it. The uppercut kick absolutely rocks youngest brother's world as he falls back. Right as things are looking up, Dowan fails to do the same. Literally. The oldest brother comes at him with a kick from up above and sends him hurtling away. With Dowan knocked back, the triplets regroup and prepare to attack as one once more. As Dowan is forced to fight a 3-on-1 battle, he realizes something. Even as he does, the oldest brother starts boasting about what's happening. Due to their constant hit and run tactics and their superior numbers, they've managed to tire out Dowan so much that they actually feel stronger and faster at him. There's no way he can beat the three of them while he's out here on his own. Well then, good thing he isn't alone. Out of nowhere, Jihan enters the scene and knocks the oldest brother down with a foot sweep and follow-up ground slam. Turns out, when Dowan ran away from the brothers earlier, separating them was only part of his plan. The main objective was to message Jihan his location and get him here to even out the odds. Though he's confused as to what exactly is going on, Jihan is determined to help his friend. The brothers run at the friends, thirsty for revenge for their oldest brother. Right as the youngest reaches Jihan's position, he hits him with a devastating 1-inch punch that knocks him out. At the same time, Dowan takes out the middle brother with a multi-strike destruction. With all three brothers down for the count, Dowan steps up to the oldest and demands answers. During their battle, they kept calling him and Jihan targets. What the hell is that about? Who are they working for? Dowan tries to get some sort of answer out of the oldest brother, but to no avail. As it happens, the mercantile agency is really ruthless when it comes to their reputation with their clients. If the brothers say anything about their reasons for being here, they'll probably be disposed of in the most brutal of ways. Yikes, guess being a bad guy ain't all that easy either. While he plots to get Dowan with a sneak attack, Dowan finds himself suffering from a sudden bout of exhaustion. Despite his HP and MP being far from low, his stamina seems to have taken a huge blow. Could this be a hidden game mechanic? As he ponders on this, a new group make themselves known. As a huge gathering of dozens of guys comes into the area, a system pop-up appears. Monster Squad, Silagil High School. These are the dungeon monsters Dowan has to beat, not just the Mad Brothers. As it turns out, Kwang Siep messed up some of their juniors on his way here. They come to get revenge on him. Or at least, that's the excuse. Truth is, they're just sick of how peaceful their area is, so they've come for a fight. As they start beating on the two unconscious Siep brothers, Kwang tries desperately to defend them. Unfortunately, he ain't really all that without their backup. Bro gets owned pretty easily. Meanwhile, Dowan and Jihan have been surrounded as well, despite having nothing to do with this. As the guys get closer, one of them recognizes Dowan from when he was riding the ATV with Oren yesterday. Deciding to be a sleazy fool, he suggests they steal his phone and call Oren here for some fun, gross wannabe gangster losers. With no other options available to him, Dowan makes a decision. He turns to Jihan and suddenly knocks him away with a powerful open palm thrust. Once Jihan is clear of the thugs, Dowan tells him he has to run. What he's about to do is going to turn him into something even he can't predict. If Jihan stays here, he'll only get hurt. Ooh, ominous. Dowan turns to the crowd and pulls out the item from his last quest, the Black Lock. As he grasps it tightly, he thinks back on the effect he found it to have. For 10 minutes, this lock can seal his free will completely and turn him into an unstoppable fighting machine, controlled by the system itself. So he turns into a Terminator. Cool. Annoyed by his seemingly arrogant attitude, one of the thugs walks up to Dowan and tries to intimidate him. Right at that moment, though, Dowan activates the lock and is engulfed in a dark energy. Suddenly, an invisible pressure settles on the shoulders of every single person in the area. A scream suddenly rips out of the mouth of the guy near Dowan. When they all look his way, they see a creature of darkness staring back at them. Wait, did he just turn into Song Jinwoo? What follows from that point on is, I don't even know how to describe it honestly. With a blank look in his eyes, Dowan, or whatever is in his body at this moment, absolutely decimates the thugs. It's not even close to being called a fight. A jab here, a hook there, a kick here, a stomp there. Without so much as a single word or a heavy breath, Dowan goes through the entire group like a machine. Even her strongest men, the big fat guy and a smug four-eyed dude, get body for all they're worth. Like honestly, there's barely enough there for me to describe it, period. He kicks the crap out of the fat guy and he smashes a fist straight through the smug guy's face. And in just moments, the only one still standing is the leader. Infuriated at how easily all his men have been taken down, the leader tries to attack Dowan. Not the smartest guy is he. Dowan catches the man's fist with one palm while grabbing his throat with the other. As his body starts choking the guy out, his mind is in a completely different place. Dowan wakes up in a strange, shady-looking bedroom. To his side, he sees a computer on a desk turn on by itself. Confused, he looks at it when text starts popping up. The person speaking to him through it is none other than the administrator, the person responsible for him receiving the system in real life. Out in an isolated area, RN can be seen stargazing while the recreation is in full swing over in the town. While she's out here, she's suddenly faced with a suspicious-looking stranger. In the room, Dowan is surprised that the administrator is actually speaking to him, since they usually ignore him. They just say that they're unable to watch him all the time. Because of this, they want to ask him just one thing. The power they've given him, how has it changed his life? Yeesh, that's a pretty loaded question. Deciding to be honest, Dowan instantly starts ranting about all the difficulties and fights he's had to face because of the system. But really, despite that, it's finally given him the power to protect not only himself, but also others. It's definitely made him capable of things he could only have dreamt before. And most importantly, he would have died way back when, if the system hadn't brought him back. So overall, he can only say he's thankful to the administrator for all they've done. With their question answered, the administrator tells Dowan that it's now his turn to ask a question. Out in the real world, Kwang Siup has woken up to a sight that damn near makes him soil himself. All around him, bloody bodies lay on the ground. Up ahead, Dowan is holding the group's leader by his throat with a blank look in his eyes. Next, he breaks the man's arm and kicks him with such force he goes flying away. Terrified, Kwang tries to escape with his brothers, but finds his body too beaten to move. That is not great. As he watches, the leader panics while laying beaten on the ground. He pulls out his phone and tells Dowan to back off. He hasn't faced their true leader just yet, a man named Guak Paljun. Kwang recognizes this name as a man who was in the reformatory at the same time as him. A ruthless man who was put in for attempted sexual assault. Over with Oren, the man in front of her starts talking and instantly frightens her with his words. The guy's just the kind of person you try and avoid in public, incredibly creepy. As he comes closer to Oren and starts going on about how she wants it, she's frozen with terror. She can't bring herself to move even as he openly declares that he's going to violate her. To Oren's immeasurable relief, the man is stopped by the sudden appearance of none other than Dowan. Oh, he's dead now, as the system reveals Paljun to be the dungeon boss. Dowan's body starts battering him without a second to spare. Kick, uppercut, kick, jab, hook. Attack after attack beats Paljun into a corner, till he's left open to a finishing blow. As he lays there, Dowan winds his arm back for a devastating final attack. Inside the mental plane that is the shabby room he's in, Dowan continues his conversation with the administrator. Unfortunately, they're secretive about their true identity, and they tell Dowan it's too soon to reveal why he was given the system either, so basically he learns nothing. The administrator simply tells him that for now, their time together is coming to an end. He mentioned that he has the power to protect someone now. So this time, they wish him luck. Out in the real world, Dowan suddenly regains control of his body, but has no memory of the things that happened while he was gone. In his confusion over his surroundings and Aren's presence, Paljun manages to get the drop on him and kick him away. Dowan regained consciousness just seconds before delivering the blow that would have beaten Paljun. Talk about terrible timing. Suddenly, Dowan feels a terrible pain in his heart. A pop-up appears to inform him that auto battle uses the body to its maximum. As a result, the recoil is just as devastating as the power that comes with it. Oh, come on. As Dowan struggles to even breathe, Paljun starts beating him to within an inch of his life. When Dowan tries to fight back, the recoil causes his muscles to start tearing apart. Falling to the ground, he screams out in agony as every muscle in his body is torn apart. With Dowan on the ground, Paljan returns to his attempts at forcing himself on Arin. As he makes lewd comments about what he's going to do, Dowan watches from the ground, his soul burning with rage and despair simultaneously. What power? What protection? If he can't even see Arin here, what the hell is any of it good for? Despite his body being destroyed from the inside, Dowan gets up through sheer willpower and stands between Arin and Paljan. In his current state, he's not even sure he can use his skill, but he has to try. He grabs John with one hand, while attempting to use multi-strike destruction with the other. Unfortunately, one arm isn't nearly enough to put out any decent force in his condition. Even as he feels himself breaking apart, even as he's in the most soul-rending pain imaginable, even as the suffering is more than anything he's ever faced before, Dowan charges onwards. Abandoning his defense altogether, he lets go of any semblance of sanity and starts wailing on Jun. With every single punch, he feels all his pain being renewed. But even so, he cannot stop. A cornered animal truly is the most dangerous. Dowan spams such an absolute tidal wave of multi-strike destructions and blind spot strikes that Paljan is drowned in mere moments. The king's tomb is cleared, Arin is safe, and Dowan is finished. When next he wakes, Dowan is surprised to find himself back in his hotel room's bed. That's far from the most surprising thing about his situation, though. Why the hell is Arin in there with him? And why are they holding hands? Just what exactly did he miss? A lot. He missed a lot. After he beat Paljan, Dowan collapsed from the various tolls on his body. Jihan and Aaron carried him back to the hotel, where they gave him first aid. They knew they couldn't take him to a hospital, since he'd get in trouble for the gang fight that caused his injuries in the first place. Luckily, the rewards from the dungeon were a gold and silver key. While half unconscious, Dowan used them, and the silver key gave him a passive recovery skill. With that, his recovery rate is boosted significantly when he's asleep. Thanks to this, his body is already recovered. Now, that's all well and good, but to the hot-blooded young man, one matter is far more pressing. The Arin in his bed. She stayed with him to watch over him while he recovered, but ended up falling asleep instead. Inside the bed? Well, not that he's complaining or anything. Anywho. While they're here, everyone else has gone to the theme park, Gyeongju Land. Choi and Jihan are actually there too, out on a date, though they'll never admit that's what it is. Couple of uber-shy kids that they are. Since Arin can't go to theme parks anyways because of the loudspeakers, the two head to a restaurant for lunch instead. There, Dowan learns that her issues with loudspeakers stem from some childhood trauma. Ever since then, she's preferred more natural things like beaches, mountains, and stargazing spots. It's just a shame she won't be able to watch the fireworks at the theme park, though. Not if our boy has anything to say about it. That night, Dowan leaves Arin to their hotel's roof. There, he shows her what a great spot it is for stargazing. As they stand there, Arin tells Dowan that she admires his fighting spirit and the fact that he's still a nice person despite it. She goes on to turn to him with a smile and thank him for saving her last night. Flustered, Dowan can only blush and change the topic. It's time for the thing he brought her here for in the first place. Behind them, from the other side of the roof, all of Gyeongju Land is visible. Here, Arin will be able to watch the fireworks without going anywhere near the speakers. The two watch on, mesmerized by the beautiful lights in the sky. Unknown to either of them, trouble is brewing in the underworld due to Dowan's latest achievements. And this time, he won't be able to avoid the consequences. On the bus trip back to Gwangju, the two on the bus plays some news about a bear that's escaped from a breeding facility. Kinda random. Wonder if that'll come up again later. Dowan is thinking back on the trip in the meantime, and thanking his lucky stars that he had the black lock item. That thing is the only reason that their problems were able to be resolved. Strangely enough, the lock is still in his possession. Now, it's just sealed itself. According to the system, it can only be used again once the key for it is found. Once the bus finally reaches home and Dowan gets off, he's surprised to be met by Sian. It's been quite a while since he last met her. At her order, he joins her for a meeting of the Boromadong Bullies group. At a restaurant, they meet up with Kang Si-hoon. Their final member, Si-hee, is absent as he had to deal with some personal matters. In this meeting, Sian reveals that the Bully Council has scheduled another meeting tomorrow, and the Boromadong rep's attendance is mandatory. Yeah, that's not suspicious at all. At Sian's questioning about whether they've done anything to stand out, Kang and Dowan admit to the scene at the Bong Cheondong construction site a few months back. Damn, it's really been a while since then, huh? Dowan even admits to his beating up the Bong Cheondong rep. While Kang thinks that's a joke at first, he's shocked when he realizes this is true. Shoot, I would be too, bro. He was pretty weak not that long ago. Sian assures them, though, that this shouldn't be the reason for Dowan's summons. There is one other rep who has been summoned, though. Perhaps, unknown to them, they've somehow gotten tangled up with this person's group. Meanwhile, a certain weasel is facing something he doesn't often have to. The consequences of his own actions, said weasel is Lee Gu-min. Currently, he's tied up tightly to a chair in a batting cage. Here, he's threatened by an absolute unit of a man named Kang In-gang, the Seoundong representative. Kang demands to know who Gu-min told about the request he made from them. Gu-min insists it wasn't him and even goes so far as to demand a refund since they failed the request. Without batting an eye, Kang just turns away and leaves, but not before leaving a parting gift. That refund Gu-min wanted, he can have it in the form of batting cage time. Kang enters the money into the machine, leaving Gu-min to be battered by the pitching machine's max speed balls. Outside the batting cages, Kang speaks to his second in command, Chi Jin-ho. He says that what's bothering him most is that just because of some random newbie rep, he's been summoned specifically to a bully council meeting. Later in the evening, Dowan is walking Sian home before heading to his own. As they walk, Sian is noting Dowan's physical development when a noise is heard from an alley or passing. Turning towards it, they're shocked to see a massive bear, the one from the news report on the bus. Called it. Ah, never mind, I got a little carried away. The bear's not actually a bear at all. It's just some guy in a super realistic outfit. As it happens, the guy's actually hiding from a bunch of delinquents who are trying to beat him for stopping them from smoking. As these delinquents show up and try to extort the bear man, Dowan decides to step in. With a quick sweep, he bodies all 4 of the delinquents in a single move, using his latest active skill. After thanking Dowan for his help, Bear Dude leaves the area. In another alley, the guy takes off his bear suit and comments on Dowan's growth from when he was little. He definitely made the right choice coming to meet him. That's his dad, isn't it? It has to be the body was too mangled to recognize back when he supposedly died. It's all coming together. I'm not crazy, you're crazy. Ahem. Sorry. Forgot my meds. The next day, Dowan enters the bully council's meeting with a tired look about him. He's here alone since Sian was confident in his skills after yesterday's display. As the meeting begins, the mediator brings up the topic for the day. Seoundong attacked the Boromidong rep at the request of an outsider recently. This meeting is to get an explanation from the Seoundong rep, Kang In-gang. The 3 brothers who attacked Dowan, they're members of Seoundong. When In-gang raises an objection, the mediator reveals this information was provided by headquarters, the leader of the bully council. In-gang simply says they have no proof, prompting Dowan to finally speak up. Standing from his seat, he demands that In-gang give a straight answer. Was he the one who ordered for Jihan to be harmed? Offended, In-gang hits Dowan with an attack that knocks him away, even though he blocks it. As he sits crouched on the floor, In-gang makes an announcement. This whole matter should be swept under the rug. After all, soon there won't be a Boromidong rep for them to defend. Leaping forward, he shoots out a punch at Dowan. To his surprise, Dowan catches it with a single hand. While In-gang seems determined to destroy Dowan, he isn't actually fighting back. Rather, he's waiting for the system to assign him a quest, so he can get a reward for fighting In-gang. As expected, a pop-up does indeed appear with a quest. Lasts for 3 minutes without attacking. Wait, what? Dowan's very confused, but the system hasn't let him down so far. He'll just have to trust it for now. As the 3 minutes count down, he sees the reward conditions. The more damage he takes in these minutes, the more his defense stat will increase as a reward. With that in mind, he tries to lure In-gang into attacking him harder than ever. This attempt is just about to succeed when the mediator finally decides to speak up. At his orders, the fight is stopped. He reveals that headquarters are watching everything through a camera, and whatever he says are their direct orders. Annoyed, In-gang leaves the meeting. Dowan, on the other hand, is told to stay. As the newest Boromidong rep, he is being assigned the duty of collecting contributions for the bully council. In 2 weeks, he's required to create a new profit model for his group. After the meeting, Dowan can't help but wonder what was up with that strange new quest he got. The system's never stopped him from fighting before. Could it be that there's someone else fighting on his behalf? Bit of a weird conclusion to come to. Even weirder that he's somehow right. At In-gang's information agency, Han Yun-sung has taken out all of his men and is now facing off against the rep himself on the roof. Apparently, headquarters has evidence of all of In-gang's forbidden dealings, and Yun-sung has been sent to dispose of him. Kang Si-hoon, Sian, and Dowan meet up at the park, where he completed his training quest after the bully council meeting. Here, they decide to try and come up with a profit model as quick as possible. Sian reveals to Dowan that there are a few exceptions when it comes to contributions. Certain groups like Silimdong are exempted from contributions, as they have special roles. Han Eung-sun's Silimdong in particular are the enforcers of headquarters in a way. They monitor the Gwanak-gu bully groups and dispose of any traitors. I can't lie. That sounds cool as hell, man. Over with Yeon-sung and In-gang, the two have escalated into a full-blown fight. For the most part, Yeon-sung is dominating the situation and soundly beating In-gang. He tries multiple times to give him an out if he just agrees to comply with the council again. Unfortunately, In-gang has no intention of doing so and continues to fight back. Eventually, he beats down In-gang for the count at the edge of the roof. Meanwhile, Chi Jinho and his underlings have arrived outside the building with the goal of collecting all their data before Silimdong can get it. Unfortunately for them, they're not going to get that chance. Between them and the building stands Kim Ji-jin, the Silimdong deputy, Eun-sung's right-hand man. And if Eun-sung's strength is anything to go by, they're in for a wild ride. Up on the roof, Eun-sung turns his back to Kang, since the fight is pretty much over. In a sick twist, In-gang gets up one last time and pulls Eun-sun over the edge of the roof, as the Silimdong rep dangles from the edge of the roof by one hand. In-gang looks down on him with a smug look. If he kills Eun-sun here, what does he think the bully council will do then? Boo, fight fair, you fool. As Eun-sun hangs from the roof, In-gang admits that this is very similar to how he killed his own younger brother back when they were kids. Hearing this infuriates Eun-sun and gives him the burst of energy he needs to jump back up onto the roof. With his resolve renewed, Eun-sung tanks all of In-gang's hits and proceeds to ragdoll him like a ragdoll. So I'm not too creative, sue me. With the rep defeated, Eun-sung announces that his representative title is hereby stripped, and ownership of his agency is to be transferred to headquarters. With his duty fulfilled, he leaves the building. Outside, as rain starts pouring down, he speaks to someone from headquarters on his phone. According to this person, everything Han Eung-sun does in the bully council's name is for the sake of his younger brother. All that explains the raging out at In-gang's confession. Cool beans. Eun-sung is quick to assure that he is simply loyal to headquarters. As the man on the phone accepts this claim, he tells Eun-sung that there's one more target they have for him to handle. Over in his area, Dowan has just reached his apartment after a long day, thanks to all the stuff with the bully council. When he gets to the entrance, he's surprised to see none other than Han Eun-sung, apparently waiting for him. Oh boy, that does not bode well after the last scene. While waiting for Dowan outside his apartment, Eun-sung receives a call from Kim Ji-jin. Around him, the bodies of all the minions are laid out in varying states of injury. Yeah, called it. He's a total badass as well. Ji-jin tells Eun-sung that the Seowon-dong members are all dealt with. However, there is one piece of bad news. Chae Jin-ho, the deputy, managed to escape amidst the chaos. After Dowan arrives home and greets him, Eun-sung joins him in his apartment to have a conversation. After serving him some tea, because he's a good host like that, Dowan asks what's up. After all, it doesn't seem like him to come around just for fun. Eun-sung, ever the upfront fella, tells Dowan that he's here to talk about Boromedong's profit model. He tells Dowan that he should have his group take over the Seowon-dong Group's information agency, since that group is currently unavailable. Yeah, that. While the agency has some illegal dealings, Dowan is free to not take part in those, and the profits will be quite significant. All things considered, it's the best possible option for Boromedong in their current situation. Dowan admits that the offer is certainly incredibly tempting. Unfortunately, he's afraid he has to decline regardless. No matter how profitable it may be, he simply isn't willing to take part in anything that's in the realm of illegal activity. Plus, he doesn't want to put the other Boromedong members in a position that may be dangerous for them in any way. What an absolute W of a boss man. Right at that moment, Eun-sung receives a call from Ji-jin that reveals the whole information agency has been burned down. Guess Dowan made the right choice then, eh? Undoubtedly, this is the work of Seowon-dong. It's obvious they're trying to hide something very important. Chae Jin-ho was definitely responsible for this. From the looks of things, it seems he was the true mastermind behind the group's activities for the most part. Unknown to Ji-jin, the snake of a deputy is only a street away, struggling to flee, with Kang supported on his shoulder. During Ji-jin's fight with his underlings, or rather, the massacre, he received a text about Kang's defeat. As such, he slipped away and went to his boss to secure his escape. Guess at least he's loyal. The next day, Dowan finds himself at Borome High School. This is the school where Seon and Si-hee go. Since she's been the one coming to him from the start, and Si-hee's currently missing, she told him to come meet with them, this time for the Boromedon meeting. Seems fair, but dang, could have been a little nicer about it. And so after his own classes ended, Dowan ran here at full speed to reach before Seon's classes end as well. Thanks to that, he's drunk a lot of soft drinks to rehydrate. And thanks to that, well, y'all know, he's gotta go now. Desperate to empty his tank, Dowan rushes into the school to use the student bathroom. After almost running into the girls' bathroom by mistake, Dowan catches himself just in time and runs into the men's room. Except that's a girls' bathroom as well, and there's a few inside. What the hell? Talk about bad luck. The full name of this place is Borome Girls High School. Well, he's done for. As he rushes out while apologizing, the hall quickly fills up with students as their classes let out. Jesus, how bad can his luck get? Suddenly, one girl starts narrating what Dowan just did and then grabs his arm, and she tells him he's just her type. I take it all back, this fool has the best luck of all time ever. Cuisine cut. Pretty sure Dowan was gonna pass out from the stimulation in that last one. After finding a free bathroom, he handles his business and comes outside to see the white-haired girl from before still there. To his surprise, she admits to overhearing him talking to himself about Si-hee earlier. She tells him that she actually knows where he's disappeared to recently. Much to Dowan's embarrassment, though, her condition for taking him to Si-hee is to be super lovey-dovey and do relationshipy stuff. Oh no, how terrible. Lucky fool. From a photo studio, to an indoor amusement park, to a manga cafe. She takes him to all sorts of date spots and initiates more and more intimate contact between them at each one. God damn it. It should have been me, not him. Throughout this all, Seon has been trying to contact Dowan with no success. He's a little too busy to be checking his phone. For their final destination of the day, the pair head to a snooker lounge. Here, the girl finally agrees to make this the last stop, before she takes Dowan to Si-hee's location. As she lines up a shot, though, some pervy older dudes come over to their table. Like your typical cliche pervy thugs, one of them tries to hit on the girl. Unfortunately for them, she's kinda ruthless. She pulls her cue backwards with enough force to crush the guys. Special bits. Before she does this, though, she surprises Dowan by calling him by name and saying he'll have to save her again. Wait, was she the person in the bear costume? God, I hope not. I'm gonna look real stupid for the living dad conspiracy theory. Anyways, the man with the ruined family sack raises his fist to attack the girl. Before he can so much as think of bringing it down, though, Dowan has grabbed it and brought the thug to his knees with sheer force. He tells the girl that he wants to know how she knows him, but for now, they should focus on getting out of here. After taking out the first thug with a quick kick to the head, Dowan is faced with the next guy, a super fat dude whose defenses are super high. Now if only Dowan had a certain passive skill that completely ignores that. Alright, critical hit son. So that guy's down for the count. Next he uses a blind spot strike to destroy the cue stick of a thug attacking him from behind. In response, that guy breaks a glass bottle and prepares to stab Dowan. Both he and another thug come at him from two sides. Picking up a cue stick of his own, Dowan uses his weapon mastery to beat the crap out of the bottle wielder. Meanwhile, the other guy goes to his bag and pulls out a little axe. He leaps at Dowan while claiming to be the heaven's best axe. Well, shut your face hole, loser. Dowan uses his weapon mastery's throwing arts to knock him out with a bunch of snooker balls. With those guys beaten, Dowan grabs the girl's hand and rushes out of the lounge. Outside, Dowan tries desperately to remember where he knows the girl from. Unfortunately, she's not willing to just tell him. After teasing the absolute crap out of him, she tells Dowan that he'd better remember her by the next time they meet. Okay, doesn't sound like she's the bear. Maybe I'm not crazy after all. Before parting ways, she tells Dowan that all the places they went to today are part-time jobs that Si-hee works at. With this info, Dowan is finally able to find Si-hee in very questionable attire. After he's done with his last job for the day, he joins Dowan and explains why he's taken on so many jobs recently. He actually lives alone with his grandma who runs a small snack shop. A few months ago, a gang called Heaven's Best showed up and started demanding a protection fee from all the local businesses. Si-hee has been working to pay those fees as they keep getting higher and higher to protect his grandma's shop. Man, that's so wholesome. I mean, it's terrible, but still pretty wholesome. When they reach his grandma's shop, Si-hee is shocked to find her collapsed on the floor. Turns out the gangsters came around earlier and roughed her up for not having any money. It's not even collection day. Seeing this, Dowan is infuriated. He also realizes why the quest from earlier has not been completed. The guys he beat up mentioned being heaven's best. The quest, win against the group of gangsters, must apply to the whole gang. With this in mind, Dowan makes a decision. Turning to Si-hee, he asks where the gangsters are right now. After the shop's landlord takes Si-hee's grandma to the hospital, he tells Dowan that he doesn't actually know where heaven's best are based. The only interaction he's ever had with them is when they come to collect their monthly fees. Well, weekly now it seems. When Dowan asks why they don't just move the shop to a different area, Si-hee explains that his grandma has been running the shop for decades now. There are too many memories infused with both the store and the food to just shut it down. When Dowan has a taste of said food, though, he discovers something very concerning. It tastes disgusting. Yeah, that explains the lack of customers. Suddenly, a wild Sion spawns behind Dowan, pissed at him for ignoring her all day. Oh yeah, she was waiting at the high school. That's rough. Thinking fast, he stuffs some of the food in her mouth, stunning her with the terrible taste. Later, Sion, Kang Si-hoon, Dowan, and Si-hee are all gathered at the store for their meeting. When they learn of Si-hee's situation, they're all set on destroying heaven's best. Si-hee, however, is insistent that they shouldn't do anything of the sort. With that said, the meeting is ended for the day. The next day, Si-hee enters the shop to a surprising sight. All his Boromadong fellows working in the shop together. After talking things over, they've decided their group's profit mode is going to be Si-hee's snack shop. With this, they'll be able to both improve the shop and deal with heaven's best when the time comes. The next day, the group work on the most important aspect of the shop, to get more customers, the dog doo-doo food. Dowan calls in Jihan to help them improve the food's quality, with his teachings from the academy he used to go to. The guy's cooking is so good, Kang totally abandons his diet to start scarfing it down. 4 days later, heaven's best finally come to the shop at night. It's collection day. Unexpectedly. It's not the frail old grandma that they now face. It's Kang Si-hoon and Dowan, ready to mess them up. While Kang deals with the lackeys, Dowan fights their squad leader, Ji-sang. While his attacks are pretty strong compared to the other thugs around, Dowan ain't exactly the average high schooler either. In an impressive showing, he finally reveals the latest active skill he received from beating Pal Jun. Fast. Wait, is that it? Huh. Pretty literal. Using his newest active skill, Dowan runs circles around Ji-sang and leaves him in shambles. The skill raises his agility dramatically for 30 seconds, with a cooldown of 3 minutes. The only catch is that no other active skills can be used while it's active. Had to nerf it, didn't they? Oh well, with Ji-sang on the ground, Dowan cancels out of the skill and uses multi-strike destruction to knock him out cold. With the gangsters beaten, Dowan, Kang, and Sion regroup. Si-hee is currently with his grandma, since he doesn't want to fight under any circumstances. He was actually quite adamant about all of them avoiding any violence as well. But when their friend is suffering through so much, how can they not do this? With phase 1 of their plan complete, Dowan and Kang head to Moonlight Room Salon, a hideout for heaven's best. There, they wait outside for phase 2 of their plan to come to completion. See, Dowan tricked the thugs from earlier into thinking they're actually a huge organization that's coming to Moonlight with weapons. Then, he tied them up just loosely enough that they'd be able to use their phones to contact and warn the rest of heaven's best. Now, why would he want to do all this, you ask? Well, that warning drives the gangsters to all wait inside with weapons of their own. And when Dowan goes in to face them, well, there's this little passive skill that's really useful when fighting someone who has a weapon. And best of all, it's a passive skill, so it can be paired with a speed active skill if he really needs to do that. Mix and match Hacksbaity. Facing off against the dozens of thugs in the salon, Dowan pulls a freaking katana out of somewhere, I dunno. Without a moment's hesitation, he draws the blade and activates the skill he'll use for phase 3 of his plan. Weapon mastery, swordsmanship. Leaping forward with sword in hand, Dowan proceeds to humiliate the bunch of fully grown adults playing gangster ahead of him. Despite all his development though, he refuses to kill, so he uses the back of the sword's blade and its hilt as his main form of offense. As he moves through the crowd, he cuts down some of the thugs' weapons and leaves them for Kang to handle. With the grace of a true sword master, Dowan dances through the crowd and beats down everyone in his way. Near the end of the hall they're in, one of the thugs manages to shatter the katana with a heavy blow from a metal baseball bat. Oh no! Anyways, he pulls out an extendable baton and continues clapping their cheeks without a moment's pause. Turning to the last couple of thugs still standing near him, Dowan tells them he has a question he needs answered. When Kang Si-hoon finishes with his smaller group of thugs, he hears Dowan calling out to him. After telling Kang to deal with the last couple of thugs, he heads deeper into the building to finish things for good. He'll take out this whole place boss on his own and end it all. While he heads down, Kang is faced with a formidable opponent in his own right, Choi Hyung-seob, the second in command of Heaven's Best. Down in the second-level basement of the salon, Dowan knocks politely on the door of the president's office. What a nice young man. Immediately after that, he steps into the room with a rough expression and announces that he's here to educate the boss of Heaven's Best. What an absolute Chad. When did he get so cool? Over at Si-hee's home, he thinks back on the reason why he took a vow to never fight. When he was younger, he often got into fights to protect his friends who were the victims of bullying. As a result, the families of the bullies he beat often asked Si-hee's family for settlement fees. Si-hee's grandfather, despite his old age and low income, never held any of that against Si-hee. If anything, he was proud of his grandson for defending the weak. But when the settlement fees kept racking up, he had to get an extra job as a construction worker to pay them all. With his old age and the unforgiving summer heat, well, he didn't make it back home from the job one day. Back in the present, Kang is having a lot of trouble fighting against the underboss of Heaven's Best. It seemed like he'd be able to handle him at first, but as it turns out, Choi is freaking massive. Like, this dude towers over even Kang, and he's a pretty tall guy. Thanks to the size advantage, he's pretty much able to throw Kang around like a ragdoll and absolutely destroy him. Hang in there, bro, you can do it. What? He could use some cheering right about now. Meanwhile, down in the basement, Dowan's face to face with the boss of Heaven's Best. Except, the man isn't quite what he expected. He's just an average-looking middle-aged dude who can't walk without a crutch and has a prosthetic hand. The hell. Upstairs, Choi is getting tired of constantly wailing on Kang. He has to give it to the kid, though. He definitely has guts to keep getting back up. He puts forward an offer to Kang. If he works under Choi from now, he'll let the kid live. Unsurprisingly, Kang Si-hoon's only response is to flip him the bird. Just as Choi is about to finish Kang off, a new player arrives on the scene. Having received encouragement from his grandmother, Si-hee has learned how proud his grandfather was of him and of the simple rule he lived by. Fighting is just fine, as long as it's to protect someone. Well, how can he not protect the friends who've been trying so hard to help him out, even when they don't need to? With a look of ironclad resolve, Shin Si-hee steps into the battle, his glasses gone and his hair tied up. Wait a second. Bro looks a whole lot like a certain genocidal Titan shifter right about now. As he sees Si-hee walk into the salon, Kang is reminded of his first time meeting him. Almost a year ago, Si-hee became his junior in the Boro-Meidan bully group, and weirdly enough, his reason for joining was to avoid fights. Everything he did seemed to be for that purpose actually. The glasses to avoid eye contact, the Hawaiian shirts to look weird so people will stay away, the grown-out beard so people his age won't interact with him. Every single thing he did seemed to be solely to avoid any and all negative contact. Weirdly enough, Kang never really held that against him. On some level, he understood Si-hee's reasons and almost respected them even. So now, to see him here, ready to fight for his sake, Kang is shocked to say the least. With the last bit of strength in him, he tells Si-hee that Choi is too dangerous and then collapses. Turning to Choi, Si-hee fires off a quick punch to his face which is blocked. As a follow-up, he launches a kick and a jab, both of which are also blocked. Well, not doing great so far. I'm sure he can do it though. Give him some time. Down in the basement, Dowan finds himself hesitating to fight the disabled man in front of him. Can he really raise his hands to him? Yeah, square up, old man. At the last moment, he hesitates again though, and tries to use a stun smash instead of directly striking him. Yeah, bad move. The old man just uses his crutch to stay in place and hits Dowan with a palm smack, followed up with a kick that blows him straight into the wall. Holy hell, that's a lot of power for only having one good leg. Upstairs, Choi has Si-hee in a hold by his wrists. As he starts, or rather, continues talking smack, Si-hee interrupts him. After stating that he's simply here to destroy everyone who hurt his loved ones, he uses Choi's hold as leverage to bring his leg up in a devastating uppercut kick to the chin. Following that, he kicks him full force in the gut, driving him into the ground. Watching all this happen from the sidelines, Kang remembers a conversation he had with Si way back when. The reason he swore off all fighting instead of just going easy, or focusing on defense. When Si gets into a fight, he loses all self-control and can't focus on anything, but destroying whoever is in front of him. As he walks up to grab the fallen Choi by his skull, Dowan has had a realization as well. Down in the basement, he rises up from his spot in front of the wall. He's honestly kind of embarrassed that he let himself hesitate, just because the boss was disabled. One way or another, he's a villain, so why should he feel any reluctance at all? At the same time, both Si and Dowan face their opponents and prepare their finishing blows. Whoop, never mind. Si does finish off Choi, but Dowan not so much. Turns out the disabled old-timer is pretty quick for someone in his condition. The man keeps dodging every single one of Dowan's attacks and counters with frightening effectiveness. Hell, he even uses the crutch as a weapon when Dowan's in the right range. As he keeps getting his butt handed to him, Dowan starts talking to the man about what he's doing to Sihi's snack shop and other similar businesses. At this, the man decides to go ahead and explain things to Dowan. He's pretty confident he's not leaving here alive anyways, so what's the harm, right? Yeesh, that might be the most cliche villain line so far. Had there been a few. Anywho, he reveals that some higher-ups have been planning to buy the land in that neighborhood and repurpose it into a more profitable district. And since they don't want to pay full market price for the land, they'd hired Heaven's best to make the shop suffer to the point of failure. At that point, they'll be forced to sell no matter what price is offered. Even now, they've set a group of men to go and physically destroy the snack shop completely. After that, he even goes so far as to say it was amusing to watch such a poor snack shop somehow constantly make the payments to them. This is the last straw for Dowan. Regardless of anything else, there's no chance in hell he can forgive someone who would make such a mockery of Sihi and his family's struggles. Fueled by his rage, he activates the Speed Booster active skill and leaps at the boss. Rushing into his guard, Dowan hits him with a quick jab and kick. To follow up, he dodges the counterattacks the man throws and leaps back. With that, he's finally done analyzing all of his limited attack patterns. Now with a solid strategy, he goes back in. After luring the man into throwing a kick followed by a jump, Dowan dodges and deactivates Speed Booster. In that split second, he proceeds to activate Falcon Drop and stuns the man with a huge kick. Before he can fall away, Dowan grabs his crutch, takes it away, and uses Stun Slam to finish him off. With that, Heaven's best is finished. Oh, and the men sent to the snack shop, yeah, they're in for a beating. They left Jahan there to guard the place. Flashback time. Not too long ago, Sian informed Kang and Dowan of a fact that shocks them to their cores. The mixer where she first met Dowan, she was only at that place to meet Jahan. She was interested in him after hearing of his exploits in several combat sports, but was disappointed to only see a timid kid who was a victim of bullying. When Dowan showed his skills the same night, Sian was already pressed to find a rep for Boromedon quickly, so she went with him. That's right, he was a substitute. Her original choice for their representative was Yu Jihan. Alright, yeah, those gangsters at the snack shop are finished with a capital F, as one of them rushes at the boy with a crowbar. Jihan uses a Krav Maga stance to shatter his jaw and knock him down. Since all the thugs are armed, he picks up the man's crowbars and faces them. Before the thugs can even finish a sentence, Jihan dashes between them and starts dismantling them with ease, using stances and techniques from various fighting styles. Throughout this, the fluffball is just concerned that he's using too much force. Not knock him out, bro. They deserve it. Back with the others, the showdown between Dowan and the old gang leader continues. Despite being beaten and now crutchless, the old-timer stands back up for one final act. After telling Dowan some stuff about the gang's past, he pulls out a gun. Huh, why didn't he just start with that? Turning it towards Dowan, he says he's heard far too much about the gang's illegal activities today. As such, he can't be allowed to leave here alive. Dowan, however, has one last card up his sleeve. The final phase of his plan to attack this place. In his pocket, his phone has been recording everything that's been said here since he entered the gang's base. At the same time, it's also been sharing that recording with another phone over at Sihi's shop. If Dowan dies here, his friends will release everything, and a lot of Heaven's best will end up in jail without question. If he wants to avoid that sort of outcome, Dowan has a few conditions. First, they'll return all the money the gang has taken as protection fees. Second, they'll set up protocols to make sure nobody is harmed by the remodeling plans for the area. And lastly, they have to leave this neighborhood for good. Turning around, Yuan steps out while telling the boss to make his choice quick. He's not going to be able to wait too long. As he leaves, the boss finally drops his gun and collapses. Serves you right. Freaking heartless, greedy, no good son of a gun. Out in the hallway, Yuan finally feels the full effects of what he just went through. The sheer nervousness from having a gun pointed at him was, well, nerve-wracking. He really thought he was going to die back there, man. But at the very least, their goals have been accomplished and the quest is finally complete. The Heaven's Best gang has been defeated. As the system pop-up for the quest completion comes up, the reward is summoned as well. Random item. In front of Yuan's eyes, a bright blue light shines as the reward emerges from within. As he looks at it, Yuan can only be confused that this huge thing is his reward.